May live demo of Riverside. And throughout the session, we're going to show you end to end how you can record, edit, create your clips, get your show notes, do just about everything as part of your creation process on Riverside, and all in high quality, because that's kind of our thing. So I'm Kendall. I'm the community manager at Riverside, and I am here with Stephen, our video producer and podcaster at Riverside. And Stephen is really an expert on all things Riverside, but even beyond that, ask him any question that's on your mind.
Astrophysics, black holes. I'm into that stuff too. Go ahead.
Wow, I didn't know that actually. I'm
Okay.
learning new things already.
There you go.
So, throughout the session, we are going to be going through studios and we're going to be going through scheduling, recording. Then we are going to show all the tools in the editor and we're going to finish up by editing a clip and showing you kind of how it all works together. So, as we go through, if you are joining us live, feel free to ask your questions in the live chat, and we will be getting to them throughout the session. But we've got a lot to get to. So, without further ado, Stephen, I'm going to hand it on over to you.
All right, let's do it. And you can drop questions as we go. Eric said he was already going to drop some, and we'll try to answer throughout. So, logged into my Riverside account here, and this is the home page. And this is the home tab of a single studio. And so, if you're just starting with Riverside or if you're not familiar, you can create multiple studios within your Riverside account. And that would be a good idea. Like if you have a podcast, create a studio for your podcast, and then all the episodes for that podcast you can record and will go into that studio. Then maybe you have a different studio for your live streams, which we're going to get to in a moment, a different studio for maybe strictly interviews and things like that. And so you can change your studios by clicking here in the upper left corner, and you'll see I have several studios here, some for team meetings, some for office hours, and you can even search your studios up here or sort them as well if you'd like to do that. So that's the studios. And if you have any questions on studios, let us know. And hey to everyone, I see a bunch of people joining us now. That's awesome. Then after the home tab, which is also where you jump in to record, edit, go live, and we're going to do that in a second. You also have projects here under each studio, and projects are where all your footage will be saved to a single project. So maybe you did several recordings for a podcast episode or just some content you're making. Well, you can include that in a project and even upload some video or audio clips you might have recorded outside and put that in your project folder as well. And we're going to go into projects more in depth in a second. And then, of course, scheduled is where you can schedule future recordings or live streams, which you can actually schedule live stream events in Riverside, and it will go to your YouTube channel, your LinkedIn profile, and Facebook pages, and that event will sync, even with a custom thumbnail. Should we do that first, Kendall? Should we go to the studio? What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, yeah. I
Let's
think
do
I
it.
think I'm flowing with where you're going.
All right, let's do it. So here into the schedule tab, let's say I want to schedule a recording and a live stream. So I'm going to do a new session, and we'll just call this Riverside Webinar for Kicks. You can choose a date and a time, and you can also invite people who might be recording with you, like a co-host or interview guest. Add a description, and keep in mind the title and description that you put here is going to go to the scheduled events on like your YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And then at the bottom, you'll see live stream destinations. When you toggle that on, now you can connect your YouTube channel, Facebook page, LinkedIn. You can also do Twitch, although they don't do scheduled events like the other platforms, and also X or any RTMP destination. So if you were to click the YouTube, you can connect your YouTube account. You would log in with your Google account, and then your channel will be connected. Then once you create this session, it will automatically be added to your channel, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, automatically with the thumbnail, with the title, with the description, and then it will live stream to those platforms when you're ready. And when you come back to this scheduled portion, you would click join session on that event that you scheduled, and you'll be live streaming to all those platforms at the same time. You can add multiple, you can even do that on the free plan as well, doing the multi-stream to social destinations.
Can I quickly just come in and say, can you
Yeah.
show the description scene or the description section? Because we have a question from Karen in the chat.
The description scene?
Of No, the description section. I'm sorry.
Oh,
So
right here?
you can go down to the description, and you can also, if you do live stream destinations,
Sure. Well, let me connect the destination. This way you can see that. So I will connect. What should I connect here? I'll do my Twitch channel because I don't really stream on Twitch. So let's try that. And I was already logged into Twitch in this browser, so it didn't prompt me to log in. But typically you would have to, log in with that. And then here you can add that thumbnail that I was talking about, that image, to go to the event. And if you edit the details, Twitch just lets you do the title to do a description. All right, let me add a YouTube channel here, Kendall. Sorry. Let me do the real thing. I'll add the Riverside channel, and I don't think anything will break, so we should be all right. Hopefully, I don't dox
We
myself logging in.
we're we're going live.
This is it. This is it. So I have to do all this logging in. It's going quick. All right, here we go. And okay, so you choose your YouTube channel after you log into whatever Google account is connected to that. And continue, continue. Now the YouTube channel will be connected as well. And done. Okay, so we have our Twitch and we have our YouTube channel. And if I toggle this on, now you can also go to the edit details for the YouTube event. And this will, you can put the title if you want it to be different, the description. And again, this will go to that YouTube event. Set the privacy, public or private. If you want to be public, and make sure you set that. And then you can also upload the thumbnail here, and that will all get synced over to YouTube. And you're ready to go. I'll actually just click
Awesome.
save and update the session. So you can always go back in and add other destinations as well after the fact. All
Perfect.
right,
I think now we can move on. Keep
let's
asking
do
your
it.
questions in the chat. We're almost doxing ourselves just so that we can answer these questions live.
I
So
don't think
keep
I
them
did. I don't
coming.
think I did. I think we're good. I didn't
No, no, no,
show.
no, no,
It
no.
dotted
You're all
out the
good.
passwords. Yeah. All right. So let's join this session. Let's say we're going in. We want it to live stream to this, or if you just wanted to live stream spur of the moment, not scheduled, you can always go to the home tab and click go live. You could do that, or just go to record. But we'll go to scheduled and join session, and that's going to automatically have those social media destinations connected. Of course, we choose our camera, microphone, and speaker, and let's join the studio. Now you're going to see two of me. I don't know if I should turn off. Which camera should I turn off? That's the question. I'm going to do that one. So now
Well,
you'll
then
only see
I'm
me.
just going to warn that if you turn off that camera, you are going to see a delay in Steven because he's
Yes.
showing a screen. So you're going to be seeing two Stevens, and well, in this case, one, and the lip sync might be a little bit off because we're showing another screen,
It's like
another
Inception.
studio.
It's a
Yes.
studio within a studio. So you'll see here in the studio, if you want to live stream, this top section right here is going to show those social media destinations that you connected. There's Twitch, there's YouTube, and you can still add them right before you go live, and you can log into your Facebook page, X account. TikTok, you can only do if you have a Windows PC and you download the TikTok Studio, or you can also do any custom RTMP destination. So this could be to a Facebook group, and Facebook groups, you can't log in and do that. You have to use RTMP. And I actually have an entire video talking about every scheduled event coming soon on the YouTube channel, so get subscribed over there. I go through everything. And then you can also use Riverside Audience Mode. That's the go live on Riverside here, and that's actually what you're using right now to watch this webinar if you use our audience link. So all the live stream stuff is now connected, and keep in mind those YouTube comments will actually be brought into the chat here, the live stream chat, and you can see people leaving messages in YouTube and Twitch. You'll see it come in here, and when you post a message, that will get sent out to those destinations as well. So people watching on your YouTube channel, they'll see your messages. People watching on Twitch, they'll see your messages as well. So that's
I'll
our,
bring one up right now just so that you can see. This is my
there we
comment
go.
right here that the live session is being recorded and
There
it'll be
you
sent
go.
the replay. So, yeah.
There it is. So that's setting up the live stream destinations. Now, if you're on our standard or pro plans, you can also do the Live Studio add-on, which is an upgrade. That gives you up to 1080p HD streaming, and you can also remove the watermark. That's the upgrade. But everything else at 720 live streaming, connecting multiple destinations, our Omni Chat, that's all on the free plan as well. So what else should we do here in the studio, Kendall? Are there any questions?
I think I actually I want to that's a bit of a preview of live, but I want to actually back it up. And let's just say that you're recording. Let's go back into your studio. Now let's just say that you are or your studio. Let's just say that you're recording normally. You're not recording a live stream. You're just recording as you would like a podcast or a YouTube video. So let's actually, if you can go back one, because I want to take it a little bit slower.
go back to
Go back to before you log in.
Oh, sure.
So Stephen pressed record at the top,
Right here.
right here. And this page will show you, and this is also what your guest is going to see. So your guest and yourself as a host, you're going to see a field to put in your name, whether or not using headphones, and this is where you can connect your microphone, camera, headphones, and join the studio.
Boom.
And once you are in that studio, we do have a quick question from Rev in the chat. How many cameras can you utilize when you're recording?
So I have several videos on the channel talking about multiple cameras and using them with Riverside. You can't have like multiple local cameras, meaning like multiple cameras connected to one computer and pull in those other streams. But you can use things like the Riverside app on your iPad, your iPhone, or your Android device and actually pull in that secondary camera angle by joining as a guest. And so I'm going to fire up my iPad over here, and in just a second I'll bring in a second camera like here in the studio. And that's actually a way you can record with an in-person guest, connecting a microphone to that secondary device. You connect it to your computer and you record even in person, but still with Riverside. So I'll show you that in a second, which to do it is actually going to be the same process as inviting a remote guest. So if you have an interview guest, a co-host for your podcast, someone you want to record with, this guest link right here is exactly what you want. So you would copy that guest link, send it to that person, and then they can join you here in the studio. They'll go through that same lobby screen where they choose their mic, camera, and speaker, and then they'll pop up here, which I'll have someone pop up here in a second. But you can also invite by email. So if you want to shoot someone an email, that sends them some instructions on joining with Riverside, and it sends them that same guest link as well. If this window closes, you can also go up to this icon here, and you get the same window to copy the guest link or send the invite.
Awesome. And so I think that we can move on to a few of the tools that we have in the recording process. So in the recording studio.
Let's do it. And I am joining. Mr. Manatee is going to be joining us. I hope that's all right. That's
of course.
That's
always invited.
That's right. That's who I usually have as a guest here on the show. And so let me mute this device. And so I'm joining from an iPad in a second. You're going to see Mr. Manatee pop up. And you'll see when a guest joins, if you have the lobby enabled where you actually have to approve guests, you actually see that appear here under the People tab. You can let them in, and you'll also see this pop up in the bottom left. And so have them join.
Welcome.
I'll mute that. All right. So now we have a remote guest, and this person is in the room with me, Mr. Manatee. And so this is something that you could do on your own as well if you wanted to record with an in-person guest, but still use Riverside. So maybe the first thing, we were talking about live streaming before. One of the newer features is live stream layouts, which lets you control how people are placed and what format they're in live while you're streaming and recording. So if you wanted to reorder who appears on the left or right, you can literally just click and drag the windows around and choose how people are ordered. So you can change that. Then also if you go to the layout tool here on the right, we have a couple different options. You can do speaker full screen. That's going to focus on the active speaker, and then when they stop talking and someone else talks, it'll switch. You can also do speaker split screen, where it will keep the active speaker large, and then all of your other guests, even if it's multiple, will be small picture-in-pictures down here at the bottom. And of course, you can go back to the grid view. You can also choose fit instead of fill if you want to see the full 16:9 video frame for you and your remote guests, and that still works in the speaker and the split screen as well. You can also quickly change layouts with the Control 1, 2, 3 on Windows or Option 1, 2, 3 on a Mac. So no clicking, just using the keyboard, and you can change those layouts pretty quickly, which is cool. Now,
also we had a
go ahead.
No, keep on keeping
All right.
on.
I'll just touch on a couple other ones. If you're going to be doing live streaming, the brand tool is also a great option here. You can upload a logo if you would like, and you can place that top left, top right, or bottom left. You can also choose a brand color and even a background image for when you stream. You can choose a solid color. You can upload one. I'll choose an image I had uploaded right here. And you can even choose your brand font right here. Lots of fonts to choose from, and how your names appear as well. And also, if you wanted to change the name size or the title, you literally just roll your mouse over and click. And so Mr. Manatee is a podcast expert, and so I'll put that at his little title. And you can also change if you want it to be medium, large sizes, however you want those names to appear. And we also have styles. So if you want it to be clean, so not solid color background, or you want to keep it bold, edgy, we have those styles under the brand tab as well. Now, the text tool here on the right, you saw Kendall put up a question before as a lower third. Well, you can actually have lower thirds ready under this text tool and just show them however you like. And then this, in Riverside audience mode, it's actually clickable. So if someone's watching on Riverside, they can literally click this lower third and be brought to that link that you had set for that lower third. And you can choose an automatic timer, 5, 10, or 20 seconds, or manually show and hide. And to create a new lower third, super easy. You just click the plus button. I'll just say new lower third, and I can customize this, the size, the color scheme to match the brand, the placement, left, center, right, and how long I want to show it. Then I can save and show or save it for later. And those are going to stay in my studio going forward, and I can always refer back to them, and you'll see it automatically disappeared after that 5-second countdown as well.
I also want to get right under that to the media board because somebody had asked in the chat if I want to add music or sound effects during my live podcast, not just in post-production. How can I do that?
For sure. So I will answer that. I also want to ask, I saw Shannon post that she's already lost, and she wants to know can you go live on your YouTube? So just to recap, you can live stream with Riverside, and you're also recording in high quality every time you're here in the studio. So you can, if I wanted to live stream to YouTube, I can turn that on or off. I just logged in with my Google account and connected my channel, but I'm also being recorded in high quality. And that's really the bottom line of why you would use Riverside. You get local high quality recordings here in the studio. So my video and audio, Mr. Manatee's video and audio, it's being recorded locally on our devices. So any internet changes or blips doesn't affect the quality, and it's recorded locally and then uploaded, so then you can download and access those files later or use the Riverside editor. Now, the Riverside Media Board, so if you're live streaming or if you want this to be a part of your recording, which the Riverside editor puts it all together, and we'll show you that in a second, you can play different video clips. So maybe I have a 2-minute countdown and I can preview it down here in the Media Board. And if I click live, I'll show it. And now that video is going to go out to my live stream. My live stream viewers are seeing it. And this is also being recorded by Riverside. And I'll get a separate track for every Media Board file and every screen share. And then if I really wanted to have a kind of a clean look, maybe you're starting a webinar or you just want to hide all your participants, you can do that too by going up to the People tab here on the right. I'll click Hide on myself and Mr. Manatee, and now we just have a countdown video. Again, great for a virtual event, a webinar, and then once that countdown hits 0, I can scrub forward down here in the Media Board. I can be on the People tab, ready to both show me and my remote guests, and so you could have a nice transition to say, all right, countdown hit 0, we're ready to begin. I'll click Show on Me, Show on Mr. Manatee, and there we go.
Amazing. I also think that it works really well with music too. So if you want to have a little bit of music that kind of plays you into the episode, if you'd rather have that live than have that as something that you do in the editor later, that's also something that you can do right in this media board.
Yep, you can upload audio and video clips, like you said, all ready to go.
Awesome. And so then I just want to quickly go through, before we move on to the rest of it, that bottom panel that you see right there. So you see that record button, you see the mic and the camera and speaker. So if you do want to mute yourself, turn off your mic, or switch any of those before you start recording, you're able to do that right there. But a really cool feature is this script feature. So if you want to open up script, you can put your script right on your screen, and what it does is it positions it close to your webcam on your computer. And so you could either put a full script. I like to use it for questions. So if I have a few questions that I want to ask guests, I'll put my questions there. And if you want, you can, yep, Stephen, you're a step ahead of me, put it into this teleprompter mode. That'll put it right on your screen so that you can look straight forward if you're using a webcam and have it scroll to your desired speed and use that as a teleprompter, along with screen share, which is right next to that script tool. And that's kind of a quick run through of the bottom tools.
And I use screen share a ton when I record my podcast. I'll basically have tabs in a browser open for articles or news that we're going to talk about, and you can share your screen, both a full tab, a full window, or even a secondary display. And so if you had like a Google Slides presentation, Keynote, or PowerPoint, maybe you have that playing on that secondary display, I can then share that. This is a second display on my computer, and that again is also being recorded, which just in the last few months, Riverside now has local screen recording even from the web up to 1080p. So your screen recordings are going to be super high quality, just like your video and audio for you and guests.
Awesome. I think that is it for the studio. So now you've recorded your content. It's come in the high quality files that you get from Riverside. Let's show you what you can do with them.
Let's show what you can do. So I'm actually going to go to the projects here for this studio. And I have this one. This was actually a webinar with multiple remote guests. So I'll jump into here. Now, there's a lot going on for a particular project. Remember, if you had multiple recordings or you even want to upload other video or audio footage, you'll see that in the recording section up here. And you can jump into edit. But if I scroll down, you'll see recording files for any recordings you did in Riverside. And when you go to recordings files, all that separate tracks that we were talking about before, here you see them all laid out. For every individual guest, I can download their video, download their audio, the raw or compressed audio. And there's also all the screen shares, like here's a screen share, here's a PDF, here's another screen share. You'll see each one actually had its own separate track. And of course, every time you record with Riverside, you can get a transcript as well. So that's at the bottom there. But we also have some amazing AI tools that help you edit it quickly. And this is how I do all my podcast recordings. You can also do magic clips, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You can make vertical videos in seconds. You can also have a full episode AI edit. And what's really cool is another recent feature, if you're not familiar, you can customize how you want the full episode edit to go, the kind of head start you can get with the AI tools, even things like what aspect ratio you want the full episode to be in, if you want to use smart layouts, which we'll get to in a second, apply your brand for that full episode edit, and all the other AI tools. You can just apply them all at once and generate that full episode. But let's talk about each tool individually by going to the editor. Is that cool? Should we jump into these?
Yes, but before you do that, turn your camera back on. I miss you.
Oh my goodness, so there it is. I know. Mr. Manatee was taking the spotlight. Okay, so Shannon again was asking how do you download the full recording. So what we would recommend is if you edit it in Riverside, then you can download your full edit together. The separate tracks is where I just showed you. That's under the recording files. So
if you download the separate tracks, like if you're going to go to an outside editor, which we're going to show you why you shouldn't, but if you're going to go to an outside editor, that's when you would download each of those separate high quality tracks. But
yes.
What you can do is you can use our editor and edit your episode, export it, and it's all going to come together in a really great audio and video quality.
That's right. So let's jump into the editor by clicking edit here, and we'll create a new edit. And the great thing is any edits you make, it's non-destructive. So you can always start over and you have your full recording available. And there's going to be some really cool ways to actually create multiple drafts for clips and things like that, which we'll show you in a second. So this is the Riverside editor. And you'll see there's lots of things going on. But the first place you should go, and this is where I go after I record my podcast, is the AI producer here in the top right. And when you go there, these are all the tools that are going to just save you a ton of time in the editing process. So remove pauses. I click apply, and any silences are gone. Now you can also adjust the pace. If you find that it cut too much silence and it might be a little choppy, you can drag this slider and choose to cut less silences or less pauses. If you're doing a vertical video like for TikTok or Instagram Reels, I crank this all the way because I want there to be zero silence, have it as fast-paced as possible. You can also remove filler words, and it's going to tell you we're going to cut out over 250 ums and ahs. So I'm going to click apply. Now all the filler words are gone just that quick. And a recent feature, this is really cool, Find Fluff is actually going to show you parts of the recording that's maybe this was a rabbit trail, maybe this was a little off topic, and it might be better to keep your content more engaging if you cut this out. And the AI producer will actually tell you why this section should be removed. Maybe this was a behind the scenes discussion, not intended for the audience. And if I want to remove that, I can just click apply, and that fluff or that small talk, it's gone. And so just that quickly. And then also under the AI producer, we have Magic Audio. And I think it was Lloyd asking earlier about Magic Audio, and maybe it sounds a little processed. Well, a great part about Magic Audio now is you can decide how much of Magic Audio you want to apply. So let's say someone had a little bit of background noise and you just want to help their audio a little bit. We actually have a slider here. So you could say apply Magic Audio, but 30% intensity. But maybe someone else, there was a lot of background noise. They used a built-in microphone like from their computer, their laptop, and maybe they need a little more help for Magic Audio. I might crank that up to 70%. And so you can decide how much Magic Audio or AI enhancement to apply per track, which is really cool. I also apply Smart Mute, and what that does is mutes everyone's track when they're not speaking. And you can actually separate these tracks and see what that did in action. And so we'll get to that in a second. And then Smart Layouts, I'm also going to apply, which I mentioned before. It actually is basically a multicam edit with a single click, meaning it will focus on the active speaker, but also show everyone on screen when there's kind of those in-between moments. Someone's laughing, maybe there was a question asked, and you want to see both the interviewer and the guest on screen at the same time. Smart Layouts does that, all that switching automatically. So now that I applied all my AI tools, I'm so close to being done because it saved that much time. For instance, the auto layout, it focuses on me when I'm speaking. It will focus on slides and other visuals when we presented that using the studio screen share. And then it will focus on the other speakers when they spoke. And during those in-between moments, it'll show all of us on screen. So that was our smart layout feature. It did all of that just in a few seconds, all automatically. And that's going to save you a ton of time and give you a visually engaging recording because you didn't have to go in there and make all those cuts and changes yourself. Now, should I go on to the multi-track, or do you want to say any questions?
No, I think that is good for that. I would say
Okay.
let's really quickly show them. You showed how to create scenes like a bunch at one time, but if they want to change or add their own scene, let's add our own.
Sounds good. So let's say I'm talking over here, but I'm introducing a guest and I want to show them as well. Well, I can go to one of my tools here in the left, and one of them is Add Scene. And when I click Add Scene, you'll see in the timeline there was another little section added right here, separated by a line. And now this is a scene where I can choose what tracks are visible. So I can open the tracks, click someone else, and now both of us are on screen during that scene. And if I preview this, it'll go from me speaking by myself to the two of us on screen, and that's what it looks like to add a scene and change the layout. And you can add as many scenes as you would like, choosing who you want on screen, and even adjust the layout. Maybe for this scene, you want to show the full 16:9 video because they reference something in the background or something on their bookshelf. You can do that. You can use our picture-in-picture layout just for that scene, which will place the active speaker large and the other person picture-in-picture. So you have a lot of flexibility, who is on screen at what time, and the layout for both you and your other guests. So I also want to show you the multi-track editor, because that Smart Mute feature, which I used before, you can really see what it did when you expand the tracks. And so you'll see this tool right here by the zoom slider. I'm going to expand the tracks, and here I get to see everyone's audio individually and all the areas that are slashed out. So it's kind of grayed out there. Those were the parts of the track that were muted. And this is really useful if someone had maybe a fan going, or maybe they had the habit of tapping their desk when they weren't speaking. This is going to mute all that and save you all the time in the audio editing. And I can zoom in and get really granular now. So let's say, well, this one is muted a little more than I want. I can click and drag this track and bring back that audio. Or maybe this was actually a laugh right here. I can drag it out and bring it back. Or in the same way, maybe I wanted to cut just one person's track because there was some crosstalk. Well, I can drag the in or out point for that little section, and now it's muted more. And so you can get really granular if you want, but I typically find the AI tools did a good enough job that I rarely open that because it sounds great right out of the box after you apply all the AI. So that's separate tracks. that's using all the AI tools. And for just regular editing, we have a full transcript here in the editor. You get that every time you record with Riverside. And if you just want to cut something out real quick, editing is as easy as selecting text and clicking the little trash can, and you just edited your content. You just edited your video and audio by selecting some text, clicking delete, and that's it. And you actually see it being reflected down here in the timeline as well. So let's say I'm right here and I wanted to delete this. Well, and you see it's highlighted down here in the timeline, so you know exactly where you're cutting. Trash can, and that's gone. You can undo if you want because you made a mistake, or if you want to show all the things you deleted, you can actually do that as well using this tool and show deleted parts, and that will show you everything you've cut out up until this point as well. So you can always bring it back, and you can always hide or show the deleted stuff. And that's what Andy was just asking. How do you get it back if you need to undo the delete? Just like that. You can use the undo button here, or you can show deleted parts and just drag it and bring it back. And yeah, it's all right there. What should we do next, Kendall?
I want to see if, let's talk about some of the overlays that you can do. By that, I mean images, text, and video.
For sure. So lots of great tools here on the right-hand sidebar. The music, if you have some background music or intro music you want to add to your recording, you can do that. I'm going to drag that playhead all the way to the beginning, expand the music tool, and you can upload your own music track, which I uploaded my own podcast intro here, so I can add that at the beginning. But we also have a bunch of stock audio that you can use royalty-free, so you can put this in your podcast and video, and we can just click play on one of these. This is a 3-minute classical track, and now we have background music. And to adjust the volume and fade, just click the 3 dots, volume and effects, and you can make sure it's low enough to be under your speaking if you need to be heard, and you can choose how long the fade in and fade out is for that background music. So you can add multiple as well if you want to add music later in the episode for a certain segment or for an ad sponsor. You can do that as well. Now, we also have animated captions built right in, and that's just one click. So there's a bunch of styles to choose from. You can customize it after you choose, and boom, we have captions that quickly. Then underneath captions, of course, you can upload images, video, audio to overlay, but I really want to show you the video overlay because you can add as much video B-roll as you would like. This is all royalty-free, and you can search for anything. So maybe I want to search for podcast. Is there any video clips of that? Lots to choose from, of course. So maybe I'll choose this one. They're recording with a phone. So I just clicked a video B-roll. I can expand it to fill the frame. It's low quality when you first load it just because it's bringing it in from our third-party video source. And after a few seconds, you can preview it. And now you have video overlays, and you can add as many as you would like throughout your recording. And fun fact, the video that just got published on the YouTube channel today, I edited completely in Riverside and used all video B-rolls overlays from the Riverside editor. And so if you want to see, can you publish a full YouTube video completely edited in Riverside using the video overlay tool? Yes, just go watch the most recent video on the Riverside YouTube channel. And I literally did it all in Riverside. Text overlays, video overlays, and all of it. And you can see what it looks like. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing. Our next question comes from Karen. How do you add an intro and an outro to a recording? And then I have a follow-up from Phil.
Piece of cake. So let's say you have an intro that you want to upload. You can do that. If you go to the very beginning of the timeline, so here at the bottom, you go all the way to the left, there's a plus icon there. I can click the plus icon, and now I can choose from videos that I've uploaded. That could be my intro. I'll just choose this one right here, and it added that intro. That's it. Now that intro is at the beginning of the recording, but I can also choose other edits. So maybe you want to record an intro and import that from your other project or other Riverside recording. You can go to edits or recordings and pull in any of your other recordings in Riverside. That's why it's so powerful to have all your recordings in one place, because you can use them, repurpose them, add them as intros, outros, or even insert them in the middle, which to do that, I can put my playhead, this part, anywhere in the timeline, use the split tool right here on the left, and now once I split those sections, I can roll my mouse over and you'll see there's a little plus and I get that same menu. I can add another recording, insert another clip, or another upload. And this is really cool. Let's say there's an intro you want to add every time for every podcast episode. Well, if you go to the brand tool here in the editor, not only can you choose what logo you want every time, your color palette, the text styles, the background image, but you can actually go to intro and choose to have an intro automatically inserted when you apply your brand. So let's say I'm going to click plus and let's just choose this clip, or let's choose this little intro video. Anytime I apply my brand for a 16:9 video, so my long form, it's automatically going to add that intro. So let me delete the intro we just did so we can see it in action. And I'm going to go back to my brand tool and click apply brand. And now in just a second, you'll see it had that intro video. It's added the logo throughout the recording. You see it here in the top left, added that background image behind our videos. And there's my intro video right here. And then anytime I record a new episode and I want to add it, I just go up to brand and I click apply brand, and that intro is always going to be inserted right away. So what's that follow-up? Yeah.
The follow-up is a little bit of a trick that we can do, and I'm talking
Okay.
about empty section, because Phil had asked, how do you get intro audio to start before a recording? And for that, I think you'd use the empty section.
For
It's my
sure.
favorite little shortcut.
So then in between two sections here, I'm going to do the add section again, and you can choose empty section. And that empty section is a canvas for you to do whatever you would like. And so if you want that audio to start before the content, I can just drag my audio track, and now I have audio playing during that empty section. That audio is also going to be under that intro clip, by the way. So if you have an intro clip without audio, but you want the music to start, you can do that too. And then this empty section, well, I can do whatever I want. I can add some image overlays. Maybe you have a title card for your podcast. Let's see, I'll go to my recently uploaded, or there's just an image I had uploaded. This is a screenshot. Well, I can insert that over the empty section. I can add video B-roll in that empty section. And also I have that music in the background. I can move these elements around, do whatever I would like. And I can even add text overlays, which we didn't talk about. And I can go to text, and let's do a title. And maybe this is the title of the episode. So we want this to be episode 1. And with text overlays specifically, you can actually have animations in and out. So I can have it fade in, fade out. Let me move this text over. That's Ali Abdal. I used a clip of him recently in a video. I'll zoom in so I have a little more control over that. And now I can drag the text overlay here. And let's preview this. So we have our empty section, and then we have all that video coming in at once with the text overlay, with the image overlay, and then it goes into the content. And of course, I would just drag the in and out point for this content here so it all exits once I come in. And so there's that preview into the content. And you can fine tune that as much as you will. And what's amazing is that's all happening in real time. Like I just made those edits. You can preview it in real time. You didn't have to download anything to your computer. It's all right here in the Riverside editor.
And I want to also get to Eric's question when we're talking about editing in the transcript. How do you delete the parts that are indented? To me, it only allows me to mute those parts and not delete. So the parts that are indented are crosstalk. So how would you go about, you can, if you, when you're talking about delete, like, do you want to mute them, or do you want that person's audio, like, to be cut out completely? Eric, let us know in the chat on what exactly you're trying to achieve.
And I might have an idea because like right here, this section with Steve, it's like indented. And that's because it's marked as crosstalk here in Riverside because my audio, I was talking here, but he introduced himself. And so if you wanted to delete that, you're actually right. You do have to drag the mute over rather than actually delete that portion. Because if you were to like select this and maybe click the delete key on your keyboard, it's going to shift all the tracks to make sure everything stays in sync. If it's crosstalk, like someone was talking over someone else, and you delete that crosstalk, well, that means everything else that happened in that moment also gets removed. So that's why you might want to apply that smart mute at the beginning And then you have the flexibility of dragging these muted sections to either eliminate crosstalk or add the laughter back or however you want it to sound.
Awesome. So I think that it's time to create a clip. Actually, Stephen, I
Yes.
was wondering if I can jump in to show them how do I create a clip.
Do it. Yes.
All right, let's do it. We
Well,
haven't done
I'm
this
excited.
before, so you guys are getting the first time from me. But
I'm
I'm
excited.
just having so much fun. I want to join.
Yes, do it.
Okay, so can you see my screen?
Of course. Of course.
Awesome. So you can now see my editor, and this is for a webinar that we did yesterday, again with Stephen. So what I do when I'm editing is that I am going through this timeline, this transcript on the side. And the first thing I do actually is I go into AI Producer and I press the Smart Scenes. And that creates all of the scenes at the bottom. But what I also do is I do little things like, if you could see here, I always introduce
live.
myself.
My name is Kendall, and I am the
And you could see very small here that my name just kind of flew into the screen. Here it is
live.
again.
My name is Kendall, and I am the
So I have it kind of animated into the screen and then it goes back out. I do all of those little edits. I change scenes so that I can make sure that it looks exactly as I would like it to look. Here, let me move my thing up a little bit so that I can show another part. It might, oh, there we go. So you can see 4 of us at the screen at one time, 1 of us on the screen at one time. But what I love to do as I'm going through, and this is how I create clips, is while I'm scrolling on the side, if I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a great clip to put for social media. So for example, we had this funny moment with Kevin yesterday. You know which one I'm talking about when you,
Yeah.
well, Kevin had a lot of funny moments. So what I do is I highlight the section that I want to put in a clip. So let's just say it's this. And right over here, you're going to see this button that says Create New Edit. So I'm going to press that, and it's going to create a clip just out of what I highlighted. So I can press here to open that edit. And once that opens up, you can also see that when I press this is this little drop down, this will show this is my full episode. These are the 2 edits that I've made so far. So I can jump through. Maybe I want to go back to my full episode. Maybe, I don't know why I did that because now we're live and I have to hold my breath if things load quickly enough.
But you can quickly
this
switch
horrible
back.
internet.
That's the beauty
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that.
and I can
new
quickly
quick
switch
switch.
back.
There you go.
So then we are making the clip that I would
the
like to
Samsung
create.
Q.
So we're here on my clip. This is the part that I would like to make. First of all, I am going to have this for Instagram, so I want it to be Reels. So I'm going to go to the top here and click 9:16 and turn it into a 9:16 clip super easily, super quickly. And what I want right now is for only Kevin to be shown. So let's say that I have only, I'll show you step by step. So I pressed full screen layout, but then for tracks, I want Kevin to be shown. So I'll take you out, Stephen. Goodbye. And
The Samsung Q2U. It looks.
and then I know that this part, Stephen kind of jumped in and showed his Samsung Q2U. You can hear the sound on mine, right? Because
Yep,
I'm sharing a
we hear
tab.
it. Mhm.
Great. So then I want to add in Stephen here. So I just created that scene. I just showed you. I pressed the scene button on the side. Hold on. Press the scene button on the side to add a new scene. And you could see what I just did there. So,
But it's also. Yep. There you go.
oh, hold on. Let me actually. You can. It's hard because I'm screen sharing. Stephen, you make it look so. You make it look
I have
so
a big
easy.
monitor. You're doing it off a laptop. People might not
I'm
know
doing
that.
it off of a laptop.
Doing it off a
Okay.
small screen is tough. That's tough work.
Exactly. So let me see. No. Okay. Well,
That's tough.
so I create a scene.
Silver. But it's also. Yep. There you go.
This is for beginner, right?
Hey, this is.
Oh, I can't see the scenes on my end. Steven, you might have to take
no.
over to show how to make a clip
Yeah, I could
because
do
my
that.
scenes are all messing up. All right. I
If
tried,
I
but
can real quick. I can log into that account maybe and do the exact clip
Yeah.
you were trying to do.
absolutely.
Braden was asking a question while we do that. how do we connect a camera to film instead of using the laptop camera? And for that, you can do it a few ways. Some cameras, like Sony, Canon, the Lumix series, you can connect them directly with a USB cable, and a lot of them have a webcam utility that you can use. And it basically, Riverside will recognize that camera automatically, and you can just select it. So one USB camera, USB from the camera to the computer, and you can just do that, and Riverside will recognize it. You can also use a capture card, which means an Elgato video capture device or otherwise, and you would go HDMI out of your camera into that video capture device and then into your computer. So it kind of adds a step, but you might get higher quality that way, even up to 4K. So you can do it that way. Or you can do what I have, which is actually a Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro, which is a great way to add multiple cameras. And then that ATEM Mini Pro you connect via USB to your computer, and Riverside will recognize that as well. So, sorry, I was logging in and typing as I was explaining. So hopefully that was
You did it
coherent.
so well.
Okay, good. So I just logged in and pulled up to that same recording, and so now this is what Kendall was working on. And what's cool is, again, because of that transcript, I can search for that Samsung Q2U segment, and I'm able to jump right to it. And I'm going to select, you say, Kevin, what are your recommendations on this? And I'll go down and just choose that section like Kendall did, choose Create New Edit, and it'll just use that selected text. I want to open that edit, so I'll jump over. And now, Braden, I also have videos on the YouTube channel about that too. So here's that clip now, and I want to make it vertical like Kendall did. And I also want to add those captions. So I'll choose one of our pre-made styles. And Kendall was asking the question first. And so I'm just going to have her on screen. What are your recommendations on this? And then I'm going to add that new scene that Kendall was using. And that first scene, I'm going to hide everybody but Kendall. So let's do this. There's that. And there we go. And then for this next scene, I'm going to show Kevin. And so I'll hide us. And now you'll see it goes, I'll move these captions down. So it goes from Kendall, she's asking a question, over to Kevin. And then when I show the microphone, I'll add another scene. Maybe I'll show me and Kevin, one over the other, because I'm showing that microphone down there. And now you'll see him, and then you'll see the two of us, and he's still talking, he's laughing, and then it goes back to him, and it's a funny clip. And we're ready to share it. We're ready to go. So quick clip, I can export that now, 1080p quality, and upload that to Instagram Reels, TikTok, and that easy to make a visually engaging clip, switching between who's talking, putting those animated captions on, and we're good to go.
You made it exactly as I wanted to make it, Stephen. You went
Oh,
right
amazing.
in my head.
Okay,
Amazing.
good. Yeah, super fun.
Awesome. So that is the whole flow. Stephen, if you could really quickly go back over that export really quick, just so that
Yeah.
people can see kind of the last step. So explain
once
that
you-
export button there.
Yeah, once you're done editing, you can export in up to 4K quality, depending on your plan, but also even if you recorded 1080p, like me and my co-host, we both have 1080p, I can still export a 4K video file in the editor, remove the watermark. You can normalize audio levels, which makes everybody the same volume, and try to remove background noise here, but I would do a Magic Audio first individually if you need to do that. And you can export this video, and then after a few minutes, it's going to process it, and you can download it to your computer. But a really cool thing is if you're doing like a full podcast episode, maybe I exported the video, I'm going to use that on YouTube and Spotify, I can choose to keep editing, and that's going to create another draft with all the edits that I already made, my branding, remove filler words, my scenes. Then I can go back up to export, go over to audio, and now I'm going to make an audio MP3 file with the same edits. So now I can upload that to my podcast host, and I only had to edit once, and I get both the video and audio, saving me a ton of time. And then I'll go to exports, which brings you back to your project, which has all your recordings and things like that. And you'll see the exports appear here once they're done processing, and you'll be able to download and share however you'd like.
You're also Shannon asked, so then you just click the export. How do you download that to your computer? So you will either see it, well, you will both see it in your account here, but you also will get an email saying that your clip is ready to download. You click on the link there, and then you can download it straight to your phone or your computer.
That's it. Little download button, saves it to your computer, and you can upload it wherever you'd like.
And another thing that I would say is if you go back into that edit, the one that you exported or any of them, you can go to the full one.
Going in. Loading.
If you go onto the three dots at the top, this is also something I do before I press export. I will usually download the transcript and the subtitles and then copy the chapters list. So if I'm uploading to YouTube, I can copy those timestamp chapters that you're given, and you can create your own chapters as well. And so that's kind of my last step before I end. And speaking of ending, we are wrapping up this session in a few minutes. So I do want to get to some of your questions that we haven't gotten to throughout the session. And Stephen, I see you already gearing up for Braden's question. What is the difference between MP3 and WAV files? I've been using WAV to upload to Spotify. Should I be using MP3?
Yeah, use MP3. WAV is the higher quality, it's larger file sizes. You would really only use that if you were going to do further editing somewhere else. If you're just uploading to Spotify, your podcast host, do MP3. 100%, that's the way to go. So that's going to save you on the file size and also help the person downloading it on the other end to have a smaller file. And with spoken word content, the quality difference is not going to be massive anyway. So don't feel like you're losing something there. So yeah, do MP3 for audio, especially for uploading to your podcast host, and then video. That I would do up to 4K because YouTube and will support that as well. And there was another question. I think it was Eric.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
exporting your podcast to both Spotify and YouTube, I've been uploading the audio to Spotify and the video to YouTube. Do I need to do that?
Yes, keep doing that. If you're hosting on Spotify, that's great. You can send them your video file. You can send them their audio file, but also Spotify for creators, you can upload a video for the episode as well. And I would encourage you to do that. We actually upload our video both to our YouTube channel and to Spotify, and discoverability really takes a jump when you have that video version attached to your Spotify podcast, because Spotify will show that video in like the browse and discover tabs, and Spotify will actually create little sound bites of your video and show that on people's discover and browse tabs. So upload the video both to YouTube and to Spotify for creators, and then upload that audio to Spotify directly for RSS and getting it into Apple Podcasts, Overcast, and things like that.
And Shannon had asked in the chat how to find your exports once you've exported them on your in your account. So can you just show where you'd find those exports?
For sure. And I want to make sure I'm on the right version of this. So give me 1 second and I'll share your screen. But basically you would go back into the project and let me do this. Hit me with one other one while I'm logging back in, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I would say go into your account. For Magic Clips, does it include description and title like the full video? So for Magic Clips, it's gonna get automatically named based on the topic that your Magic Clip is. But for show notes that you're talking about, the descriptions and kind of the timestamps and everything, show notes are generated, correct me if I'm wrong, for videos over 5 minutes?
I believe so.
Yeah.
That sounds
So
right.
if it's over 5 minutes, then show notes are created for it. Otherwise, for a short clip, you're not going to get the short description for it. But it's,
Right.
Here
Yeah.
you go.
So when you log in your Riverside account, remember you go to your projects. Think of every project as a new recording, a new episode. So I'll go back to that project we were working on, and your exports will actually be down here. It's under your edits. If it looks like this, because edits will include both drafts, things that you're still working on, and any export. Now you're not going to have as many as I have here. I have like Magic Clips. I have a bunch of different edits. But when you scroll down, you'll see exported, that little tag on whatever videos, clips, full-length episodes that you've exported. And here you can click that download button, download it to your computer. You can also click the little three dots and download it there as well. But it's just scroll down on this project page to your exported files and you can download them there.
Awesome. Anyone else have any more questions? Feel free to put them in the chat. But in the meantime, I do want to just shout out because there are a lot of new podcasters in this chat. And so we did host a webinar yesterday, and I'll show a clickable link on screen. I'll also send it in the email that we hosted a studio setup webinar yesterday where we went through all of our favorite tools from beginner to intermediate to pro for cameras, microphones, lighting, audio interfaces, all of it. And it's such a great webinar. I loved recording it so much. So so feel free to go and watch that. You can also, there are questions on one-on-one sessions. I will say that your best bet, if you want to really dive into different parts of the editor or studio or anything within Riverside, is you can watch Riverside on YouTube. You'll see a lot more Steven there, and we go into all of the tools one by one, and we show you how to use every one of those. So if you search for a tool that you're interested in learning more about, you'll likely find it on our YouTube channel. But we also have a really helpful help center where we have videos on there that'll show you step by step how to do any part of the process. So you can also feel free to go on there. And for other questions that you might have, or maybe you're a new podcaster or somebody who's been creating for a long time and you want to find a community of creators to help, to lend some advice, to support you, or just to make some new friends, we have the community hub. Actually, I'm going to show this one instead. Join our Riverside community on Facebook. We're Conversation Creators by Riverside on Facebook, and we have over 21,000 creators in there, and it's an incredible group. So highly recommend that you go on there if you're really trying to level up your game, because we have some really helpful people in there. Awesome.
I'll do one. I think this is answering a question, but just one last tip. If you exported a clip and you want to go back and either make more changes to it or export it again because you didn't do the MP3 file, for any exported clip, all you have to do is click the little scissor icon on top of it or the three dots and then duplicate, and that will open up the editor again with all the edits that you made from that draft. So even if you've exported something and you still want to make changes to it, you can do that. Just go to that exported clip, hit the scissor icon, and you'll jump into that clip or edit. Like this was an 18-second clip, and you have access to that again. So just because you exported it doesn't mean you lost that edit. Just click duplicate or the scissor icon.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I hope you got a lot out of this session, and tag us in what you're creating. We really love to see what you're all working on. And thank you again for joining. Have a great rest of your day.